Okay, we're at Creator Fest 2025. I've got two special guests here. Would you mind introducing yourselves?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Marina Mansour. I'm president of Beauty and Wellness at Kyra.
And I'm Leslie, I'm marketing director for L'Occitane in the UK.
Amazing. So you guys have just done a session. Can you tell me a little bit about what was said, key topics, key takeaways?
Key topic, Marina's outfit. I think that went down an absolute flame. Topics were everything about creators and working together with agencies and how we find said creators.
Yeah, so it was all around like the cheat code and how creators reveal what marketeers can't necessarily see, and it really focused. It actually turned into a really interesting and rich discussion because it started with how creators can be really powerful for your business overall. But actually, I was definitely like very encouraged by the focus on sort of performance and metrics, which I think is at large the kind of the change that we're seeing when it comes to working with creators. I think there is a little bit more of a sort of curiosity on like ROI.
Yeah, why do you think that conversations are being driven more towards data these days?
Because influence marketing is attracting all of the traditional media dollars. So as a business, the creator economy is set to be worth 470 million by 2027, which is insane because actually like we're still pretty young. Like, rates are still unclear, licensing still unclear, like sparking, all these things are still really new. So I think as a sort of a manifestation of its like growth from a being more central to a business perspective, I suppose. I think you have to be more curious about how it's driving value for your business.
I definitely agree there. So you've been working at Kyra for 8 years, I want to say?
This is my 8-year anniversary, can you believe it?
That's crazy.
Massively great.
So 8 years ago, that was what, 2017, 2018, something like that? Yeah. So what do you think the biggest change is since you started at Kyra versus now in the industry?
Oh, the industry at large?
Like the beauty industry?
Oh, I would say it was probably the revolution that started like in 2020 in lockdown. So I think it was an interesting thing because when I joined Kyra, it was a YouTube business, and YouTube was very much our focus because we've always been focused on young audiences, but YouTube was TV for like Gen Z, which we never used to call them that. But then in 2020, I think the conditions of being at home, not being able to shoot anything without someone who was able to shoot themselves, I think that changed the conditions of I think the creator economy at large, but also beauty specifically, because there was this kind of intersection of self-care and beauty and skincare that turned into this sort of like very sort of acute desire for both like education and content output. So I think that was a really meaningful pivot, I'd say, for sort of like the industry at large. And then I've been at Kyra 8 years, but we started the beauty division 4 years ago, and that was really to respond to that growth, not only from a content perspective, creative perspective, but also in terms of the demand of our partners.
Yeah, definitely. So Leslie, how long have you been working in beauty for?
Beauty's been about 3.5 years for me.
And what do you think your biggest challenge has been since you've been in the industry?
I think it's understanding the difference between what people want to see from a social perspective, from entertainment versus actual like brand messaging. What I've realized as well, especially being in the beauty industry now, is that what you want to do as a brand is not always what your social media audience want to hear from you. And I think the freedom of that is having to say, actually, one, listen to what the community is saying and let the creators speak to that community, but also to accept that sometimes it's an entertainment platform and it's people's hobbies and this is what they're passionate about, especially the beauty industry. They're incredibly passionate, so let them do what they want to do.
Amazing. I was going to ask you, what have you learned about trust and creative freedom while working with creators, but I think you pretty touched on that nicely. Awesome. Do you think that certain platforms lend themselves better to kind of like sensory storytelling, or do you think like TikTok's better than Instagram for this kind of stuff? Where do you think it kind of lies the best?
I think from an audience point of view, people use multiple social media platforms, so the freedom of that is actually just meet them wherever they are and put your effort into wherever you want. You can do great stuff on long form like YouTube. You can do Substacks and it's still just as passionate if you find your community there. I would say though that I've found that TikTok is more the culture maker if you want to change what your perception is. and Instagram is more the helping to make sure you get your brand message and boost across is how I've seen it. But what would you
No, I
say?
would totally agree with that. Totally. I think if you're looking for like a big moment, TikTok is where you want to go. But I think if you're looking for something to strengthen your brand and maybe aesthetically feel a little bit more polished, I think Instagram is kind of your shot.
Currently.
Currently, yeah, currently,
Literally
right now.
next week, this could be completely a
now.
mundane thought.
But I'm a huge YouTube fan. I think YouTube is undefeated, and like the value of a subscriber is undefeated. But I think when you are looking at the marketing mix of like investment, time, all of those things, I think the reason that TikTok has kind of come into sort of center of conversation is because like it is quick. If you are looking at performance, it's super efficient. If somewhere to kind of put your kind of marketing budget, but yeah, but that's all to say that you just have to stay on your toes because things change at the drop of a hat, really, in the social space.
Definitely agree with that. Okay, can I have one key takeaway from your session? If you could leave the audience with one thing, what do you hope it is?
If you're gonna hire an agency or a creator to do work for you, be clear on what you want at the end point, but then get out their way and let them do it their way.
Nice. Marina?
Oh, that's such a good one.
I am the brand. It's easier.
Yeah. I would say be clear on what success looks like, which isn't dissimilar. So, but that would be mine.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me.
There you go.
Data. That's great.
Use your data. That's it. Sorry.
Awesome stuff. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day at Creator
Thanks
Fest.
so much. Thank you.